To get into our study this morning on the book of Job, and this will be probably our last look in Job for a while, unless we run across something else. Where happened to it? Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah. For a while, we go back to Proverbs, and so we can complete our study in Proverbs. But we're going to look at Job in chapter 3, verse 1, starting at verse 1. And to understand 3, I want to review in my commentary from the first two chapters of Job that we talked about. See, children, our children never got tired, never tired of asking the question why. My grandson, my baby grandson, that was him and Nina's best word was why, Papa. They always ask why, and children they never get tired of asking that question why, and yet the question produces a bitter taste in the older people. Bitter taste when we get older. As we get older, that why started getting to us. It gives us a bitter taste in our mouth because we get tired of asking why. See, children wonder about everything. A child wonders about everything, and adults wonder about suffering. Children about everything, but adults seem to concentrate on wondering about suffering. We notice that the world seems to be running effect. You understand what I mean? The world today runs on a setup of cause and effect. And there's a cause, there has to be an effect to the cause. Yet there are some effects from which we cannot find a clear cause to. There's things that happen at times we cannot never find a clear cause to that. And some causes that don't be expected effect. Yes. Sometimes we look for a cause, something happened, we look for the cause for that to lead to a certain outcome. And sometimes they don't lead to the outcome that we expect. We expect Job, and we talked about and some causes they don't lead to the expected effect. We would expect Job's wealth and family to give him a very clear happiness. For a while, we have to understand his family and his wealth did for a while give him a happy life. He was living good. He had a great kids, I would say. He prayed for him. His wife was, I think he thought he felt he had a good wife. So things was going good for him. But the loss. Okay, back up. But the loss and the pain he experienced shocked him. It really shocked us that we went through something like that. And when we are still going through. My brother's going through something similar to that now. And we I'm like those Robinson take time. The first two chapters of the story of Job are more than he can bear. If you know the first two chapters talk about what happened to him was more than he or anybody could bear. To those so quick to ask why. If you were going through this question, and I'm sure Job is getting to the point of why. Is what we're going to look at in chapter 3. At the small misfortune, Job's faithfulness seemed to be incredible, but even Job has something to learn, and we can learn with him from what happened to him. Part of although some of the pain have been caused, he is still living in a world where many people suffer. And we're still living in a world where many people suffer. Job was not expecting instant. He wasn't expecting an instant answer, because to today we live in a world of instant living.
It's true.
But Job, for the intense physical pain he was enduring, in the end, what broke Job's patience was not, but it was not, but it was why he was going through the suffering. And I would imagine we would sometimes we go to things we wonder, we expect as Christians to go through things. We expect some suffering, some pain, but sometimes we get to why, Lord? And Job was at that point. It's not.
Is it because I'm not doing the right thing?
Huh?
Is it because I'm not doing the right thing?
Well, we're gonna get to that. You had the same thing. Job was asking why. You asking why. You trying to answer for
You know, she answered the wrong question.
Yeah.
Like I said, we expect to learn patience instantly, and in our hurry, we miss the reason, the consequence of the condition. For all that we want to now, relief from pain at the top of our list.
Right.
We got pain pills and things that should put those in. We want an instant cure to everything from a toothache to heartbreak.
Come on, watch yourself.
Yeah,
On an instant relief.
Amen.
Although some pain has been cured, we still live in a world where many people suffer. Job was not expecting instant answers for the intense emotional and physical pain that he was enduring, but in the end, that broke Job. Patience, and was not the suffering, but not knowing why he was suffering.
All right.
When Job expected comfort from his friends was ready with an answer, they believed that the law of cause and effect applied to all people experiences, and expected, and that cause and effect was also causing Job's problems. We have a tendency of jumping to what we believe.
All right.
And we all believe that if there's a cause, there's a cause, that's an effect to the cause. If you did something, there's a consequence to it. So that's the cause and effect type thing. So Job's friends came to him with that attitude. To all people in the experiences, they viewed their view of life boiled down to this: God, good things happen to good people, and bad things happen to bad people.
All right.
Because of this, they felt their role was to help Job admit to whatever sin was caused for his suffering.
Come on.
And we always look at folks and said they did something wrong. They had to do something. They're going through because they had to do something. My sister-in-law was like a sister to me. Her catching getting cancer and dying. Did she do something wrong? No.
No. That was the will.
It was the will of God.
Come on now.
But this is what I'm leading to that in Job. That's the reason why I'm saying in this third chapter. Going through this third chapter because I'm leading up to that. So it boiled down to good things happening to good people, bad things happening to bad people. Because of this, they felt like this was their role and how they had to approach and help Job.
Mhm.
Job actually looked at life almost the same way as his friends did.
Come on.
What he couldn't understand was why he was suffering so much when he was sure. I mean, sure, he had done nothing deserving the punishment he was going through. He was sure of that. I'm pretty sure he was sure that he hadn't done nothing.
I agree.
And that would cause you to wonder. Sometimes I've been accused of stuff when I was nowhere around.
All right.
And I had to go through stuff and suffer behind this thing. And I wonder, why do I have to go through this? But there's a lesson.
All right.
There's a lesson that I was looking for at the time, didn't expect at the time. And this was Job, where God had to get him to understand. So much that he wanted to so why he was suffering, right? What he deserved. The last friend, Elihu, did offer another explanation for the pain by pointing out that God might be allowing to purify Job. But this was only helpful. When God finally spoke, he offered Job and said he drove home the point. He drove home.
Yes.
To your point to. And sometimes we have to think in order for God to drive in his point that he's making to us. He does things to make us get out of there. I want to big old ad jumped up on my screen.
Trying to get you to see.
So I'm like, real big old ad with these women clothed and these women dressed in hats. Jumped up on my screen.
That was the part that you said, God just said to get you to see.
No, I was looking at that screen, and then all of a sudden I looked at the screen, this thing with women clothed and these women dressed in. It's standing up there on my screen looking back at me.
Trying to get you to see it.
Okay. So let's go. He said, after this, we had looked at, what did I do before? Okay. We recognized the Job's friends that came to him. Job was Job's agony was agonizing over what he had was saying quietly, and his three friends explained that he must be suffering because of some terrible sin he committed. They tried to pursue Job to repent. And these are some of the things that he was doing. But you know, the last part of chapter 2, they sat there. And it was a custom at that time that they sat with him and not say anything. I think last week I was saying that it's sometimes better not to say something than to say the wrong thing. So, but it was a custom at the time of the friends when they arrived, and they were going through the tradition of people who come to comfort someone in mourning or not to speak until the mourner speak to them. And and people have a tendency of walking to somebody that's in mourning and say, I understand what you're going through. No, just keep quiet.
You think.
Everybody more in a different way.
Keep quiet.
Amen.
I talked to my brother. I told him, I said, anything I can do. And just tell her, okay, I'm just want to make sure that you're okay.
Yes.
And I love you. My baby brother he cannot tell his siblings I love you.
He cannot express his feelings.
He just won't come out of his mouth. It would come. His wife, he said, I heard him a couple of times tell his kid, but when I like to tease him because I said, love you, bro. And he just have a hard time getting it out. You too. But I love just getting it and just getting it, just saying it, just to see his expression, how to hear his expression. Huh?
That's like a way of giving saying you love you too when you say yeah.
But I like this is my way of getting getting something out of him.
He the same way, yeah.
But
He the same way.
I'll tell my sister, I said, love you much. They said, love you too much.
Me and my cousin do that too.
I tell my sister, I tell all my siblings that. All my siblings that. And but all of them responded to some way, except for this baby
I just
brother.
want to say this. My cousin do that. She say, I love you. I love you more. She say, I love you more. I love you more. Before we end our conversation off the phone, we done
Right.
whole lot.
But my baby brother just cannot get that out.
Yes.
He cannot express his feelings.
Yeah.
He's like this guy on this old show. He used to hit the jukebox, and they said he could not admit he was wrong. He go woo 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 woo. He just wouldn't say he was wrong.
That was a show.
Huh?
That was a show.
Yeah, it was a TV show, old TV show, and if I could think of the guy's name off the top of my head, but he used to walk around. He was
Okay.
hit the jukebox, and the jukebox stopped playing, and then they snap his fingers. The girls come up and jump on him.
Oh, good happy days.
Happy days.
Yeah.
But he could never admit he was wrong. So when he somebody said he was wrong, yeah, Fonzie, he said he was wrong. He go woo 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 woo.
Yeah.
That was funny.
He could never get wrong out.
That was fun.
Well, that's where my baby brother is. But this is what it is. So we see here, Job, after he opened after this, opened at Job his mouth and cursed his day. Now I read this in two different ways. This verse, chapter 1. He said, one said, you know what his Bible said? Let the day perish wherein I was born. And let the day perish, he says, in the day I was born. Come on, get back. All right. Some people say he cursed the day he was born. He said, and cursed this day. I slightly disagree with that terminology that he cursed the day, because if we look up the word curse, it is a satanic word. Let me see what the
Can I read what this one says? Yeah. It said, let the day perish on which I will be born. Yeah. It didn't say curse. It said perish. It said, let the day perish on which I will be born.
right.
Okay. Now read it.
Let the day,
Read it.
okay, yeah, let the day perish. And in the it's King James version.
Put that with Welly.
They cursed the day. Cursed and as I said, for this day. Speaking of parish came up in the third verse, but in the first verse, he said, curse this day. And I have to disagree with the word curse. Come on, my
Is that the
fingers.
same? What was that word? Bewailed. What's that? What is that the same as cursed? BEWAILS.
Oh, sweet
It
sadness.
says bewailed. Yeah,
Bewailed.
at the top of her book it
It's at the
says
top of the line.
Well, it's a state of sadness.
sadness.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the word curse used to express astonishment or amaze. Let me see what the definition of the word curse.
Oh, curses.
Translation, season. It doesn't give a. It goes back to here to a. You know, coming up down south, they used to do curses on people.
Yeah, good.
Voodoo. I can't get the exact meaning for some reason. Thing like give me the actual definition of the word, and I don't know why, but it's giving me something else other than that. But you understand my point. So what I'm saying is that Job is showing regret, wishing, and in so many words, wishing that he had never been born.
Yes.
So this is where I see it. My opinion. So this is my
I
opinion.
go along with your opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I,
And he said, curse it this day, which means not the day that he was in, but the day that he was born. And Job spoke and said, let the day perish wherein I was born. In other words, he's saying, let the day perish, let the day go away. And if the day go away that he was born, he would go away too.
Yeah.
So now you can look at it that he wished that he hadn't been born.
yeah.
He said not only the day and the night in which it was said, here is a man child conceived. And when he was born, that's what they used to say. And when it was a boy, they would lift the child up, say a male child has been conceived. Huh?
No, I was just
A male child has been conceived. So they would acknowledge a male child, where in a girl they wouldn't acknowledge that well. Didn't acknowledge. But they acknowledge the male child. In Jeremiah 15:10, Jeremiah said, and Allah, my mouth, that you give me birth, a man with whom the whole land strive and contend. So a male child was given honor, and it was a girl, a female child. So he's expressing what they would have said when he was born.
that's because the male child carries on the name, right?
Right. Because the male child's going to continue the name. Where the girl would eventually be carried the name, and then carry the name up. He said, let that day be darkened. Let not God regard it from above. In other words, he just want not only he just want to get rid of the whole idea I was born. I no need to meet. If I have to go through this, and that was his way of wondering why all this was happening to him. I want to show you how close he came to blaming God for what's going to him. What's done to him. Okay. He came close, but he never did.
Okay.
Huh?
I just said, okay, that's all I said.
He came close to blaming God. A lot of us will just jump up and blame God for what's going on. But see, he was coming close to blaming God, but he wasn't coming all out and blaming God. He said, let the darkness and the shadows of death stain it. Let the clouds dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. In other words, he was saying that was a bad day. You know, we always, and I'm sure his mother and father didn't think it was a bad day when he was born. He was trying to say, because I was born, all this happened. Instead of saying, God is doing this to me, he said, he's passing the blame to himself. And a lot of times we look for reasons that things are happening. And here is Job saying, well, if I was never born this way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we have a tendency of asking God, why are you doing this? And I have to ask God, why? And then you get the same answer. I get the same answer because I say so.
You ain't gonna explain it.
Because I allow it. So here's Job. He's still going. He's going through these little trials and tribulations and going back and forth. And let me see, can I find another one? Okay, here in Ecclesiastes 4:2-3. Here's Solomon giving us an explanation on, giving us a look at some reason why people say certain things. He said, and I declare that the day who had already, I declare that the dead who has already died are happier than the living who are still alive. You get it? But better than both is the one who has never been born. This is Solomon, who has not seen evil that is done under the sun. You get that? Mm-hmm. George said no. Okay, I'm a quickly explain it. What Solomon is saying here is I declare that the who had already died is happier than the living who is still alive. But still alive is still suffering. The dead, you have let go of everything. Now you're in the hands of God, so you're being comforted. He said, I will comfort my people. So Solomon is saying the dead who's already dead is happier. And still living.
Right.
But better than both of these is the one who is never born, never been born. So if they've never been born, they don't have to go through anything, Joyce. That's what he's saying. You don't have to go through nothing. So that's better than both. So he's explaining what Job is saying. Why Job is talking about these days. Solomon is saying the dead is happier than the ones living. But better than both of those instances is the child that was never born.
Yeah. Amen.
Because they don't have to go through either. They don't have to live through the suffering, and they don't have to die. No, they have never been born.
Okay. Thanks, sister.
You got it now? Okay. So Job goes on. Now his friends are still there listening to him. He said, let the day be dark and let not God regard it from above. neither let the light shine upon it. Let the darkness and the shadows of death stain it. And let's see where we got 3:5. He said, let the darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let the clouds dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. And see where am I with my notes? I'm not there yet. Okay. And Job, let's go to Job 10, 21 and 22. Job said, before I go to the place of no return, to the land of gloom and dark land of night, to ultimate darkness and this disorder, were every even same thing he said before he goes. And he's talking about before he dies. He was talking about that, and we'll explain that at a later time. He said, there is no deep shadow, ultimate darkness, where endurance can't hide, but even endurance can hide. So here in Job 34, Job is telling them his eyes are on the way of mortal. He sees their every step. He's telling God sees everything. And there is no shadow, no ultimate darkness that evildoers can go and hide. So going back to all of this thing about darkness and shadows and things, when you go to that part in Job 34, he realizes what he was saying in earlier. And now we're not going to go all the way through Job, so I'm bringing this up because you're going to have to go back and read Job yourself. But these things here, what he's saying now, if you go through the book of Job, he recants the things that he's saying now. And telling you, I'm trying to bring this up because see what happens is that our problem is that we don't want to admit that we did wrong or said anything wrong. Once we learn, and what Job is telling us here, trying to show us, God is trying to show us here in the book of Job, that sometimes you have to admit, I said something that I shouldn't have said. But we try to cover up, no, I didn't say that. And then when we say something, something else happened, and you realize what you said wasn't true, we won't live up to it. So Job here, and we'll see him here in Job, where Job is admitting what he had said wasn't true. So when we go through, we have to get an understanding of what he's telling us. In verse 6, for as for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined into the day, and the year and not come unto the number of months. 7, lo, let the night be shattered. Let no joyful voice come wherein. Let him curse it that curse the day, who are ready to rise up their morning. So he's just going through this whole routine. All of this whole chapter basically going through this whole routine where he is just venting. I'm sure I put it through. He's just venting. He's just saying what he feels. He's letting out what's inside of him. He's just letting it out.
Yeah.
And he is doing this and not to blame God for what he was going through. He's blaming the idea that he was born as the reason why he was going through. He's saying if I would never, that day that I was brought into this world is the day that everything started happening.
Oh, yeah.
So this whole, most of this chapter is going, is just he's just venting about what he had been through in the day. And we know there's a lot of things that back up, that reason that was written that he, that he go back to say, he said in Genesis 1:21, it says that, and God said, let the waters teem with live creatures. And come on, don't shut me, don't cut me off now yet. And let the sky fill across. God created the great. Why are you doing that? Okay, so God created the great creation of the sea.
Yeah. Wells.
This thing keep doing that. Of the sea, and every living thing which the waters teems, and that moves upon it, and according to their kind, and every wind bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good, and God blessed it.
Yes.
Point. Job comes up and says, let them curse it that curse the day. You get it? Who are ready to rise up in the morning.
Oh, okay.
God created the day.
Yeah.
In Genesis, the reason I brought that because you look at God created the day and everything, and that morning, and what you wake up in the morning, if you bow on Sunday, in the morning you hear the birds sing.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So Job is venting here. He said, let them curse it that cursed the day. So he's saying there are people out there that's going to curse the day. People, you ever run into somebody that's always having a bad day?
Mm-hmm. Stay away from them. Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what it is they always have a bad day and they always cursing the day. Let this day be over.
Yeah.
So this is what he's doing. Let them curse it that curses every day, curses the day.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And let the people that walk around and we're always talking about it's a bad day.
Yeah.
Let them be the one to curse it. Who are ready to rise up in the morning. Let them curse the day let them curse it that curses the day. Who are ready to rise up in the morning. Let them do it. Let the stars of the twilight wherein be darkened. Let it look for light, but have none. See, he's venting out that, but we go back to Genesis where God created everything.
Yeah.
God said, let there be light. God said he put stars in the sky. He created the universe. He said, let there be light. He's venting against God. But not without. I want to say, to me, it looks though he's blaming God without directly blaming God for what he's going through. You get what I'm saying?
Still like,
He's indicating, insinuating.
yeah. I hear you.
The problem was God by saying that if I was never born, Lord, then you should blot out that day. Just like I said, I'm having a bad day today, so God just takes away this day. and forgive me another day.
Come on now.
He did because he said in 10, because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb.
No.
In other words, he's still saying, if I'd never been born, none of this would happen. So he's venting about the day that he was born, and he just wished that he was never born, and that day shouldn't have never happened. And he said he's sorry because they should have shut the doors to his mother's womb, nor did hide scorn from the mind my eyes. Why die? I am not from the womb. Why didn't I die when I was born? Understand? Why did I live? He's asking why. And you don't know, why didn't I just die? You know, why go through, live and go through all of this, and then for all of this to happen, live all this time, and then all of this happen?
You want to die.
You know, just logically look at what he's saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You gave me riches, you gave me
Yeah.
a good family, then you gave me all the things I would ever, all the comforts of life. Then I started getting to take all this away.
Yeah.
It would have been better for me not to even have it.
Hmm.
So if I was never born, I would have never had it.
All right now.
So this is what he's telling me. Better that I would have never been born. And then I would have never had this, and then it would never happen to me.
Make it plain.
Well, I think your life is the way you make it. If he give it to you, you got to work and do something to keep it. He's just not gonna keep giving you
Yeah, but
stuff
see,
and then you
what
don't
happened
work
to-
for it.
Yeah, but what happened though? Job didn't do anything to lose. He did everything he was did to keep it. His kids were going, and he was going to pray for them. Just forgive them.
Come on now.
Job did everything he could to keep everything. He didn't do anything to lose it. Some of us are blessed with stuff, and we just take it for granted.
Oh, come on
And
now.
we
say
lose
it,
it.
preacher.
But Job is asking why. Job is asking this why? Because he did everything he could to keep what he had.
I agree with it, everything he could, right? But still something, I don't know what went wrong, but he just lost it. You don't know, you know. I
Well,
did
we know
everything
what
right.
happened.
I did everything right. So what did I do, Lord, to have this thing with me? You know, I'm saying,
That's what-
like I said, if I hadn't been born, I wouldn't have had to go through all this.
He still said that's why he got.
So, I don't blame him. I'm gonna blame my mother for having me in her stomach. And when I came out, did nobody know how the Lord was gonna have worked with me? You know, he had plans for me. You know, he had plans for anybody, any child that's born. He had plans for them when he was. That's why he wasn't dead in his mother's womb. He wanted him to live.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
see,
do I sound right or what?
what it is he's asking why. When you do everything right, that's the cause and effect that's set up.
Come on, make it plain.
When you do everything right, you expect that everything to turn out right.
All right, come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on.
Job was doing everything right, and he expected things to turn out right, but they didn't.
Mm.
So now the big next question is why? You know, that's what he's asking. Why? I did everything right. Why? So he said, why die? I not from my mother's womb. Why didn't I, in other words, why didn't I die when I was born?
Yeah.
Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Why didn't I die when I was born? Okay. He goes another way in verse 12. Why did the knee preserve me? Why did the knee preserve me? Okay, the knee is where you sit on your mother's knee. You sit on your mother. They sat on your mother's knee. They sat on your mother's knee when they were being nursed.
Yeah.
You sat. In other words, the knee preserved him. Why? Okay, he's still asking why. Then he go, or why did the beast that I
Breast.
should suck breast that I should suck? For how should I have laid still and been quiet? I should have slept when then I had been at rest. If I had died, I would be at rest.
Yes, sir. Come on.
I would be going through, we'd be suffering like this. So here he is, he's venting and asking the question of why. And like I said earlier, we all have that cause and effect attitude. People that does bad look for bad things to turn out.
Can I ask you something, Pastor?
Huh?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, all this time, if he had never said what he said, I don't know how to explain it. It's bothered me, because if he's trying to figure out what he did wrong, so he didn't do anything, or is this what he was thinking? Was it what he was thinking in his mind?
And it's in his mind. And we, like I said, it's a cause and effect. The way we think. It's the way we think as human beings.
Okay.
A person that does bad things, they don't look for a good outcome.
Right.
They expect something to happen. They expect to be arrested. You have some of these young people out there selling dope. They expect somebody to shoot them. Some of them don't even expect to live long.
That's true.
They have. It's a cause and effect. They figure the things that they're doing, there's an effect of something's going to happen because of what they're doing. When you're doing everything right, you expect to be able to live comfortably
Yeah.
without any problems because you haven't done anything wrong to cause any problem. So when something happens, you start wondering why. And this is where Job is now. Why did this happen? When you start wondering why things happen, then you start looking for reasons.
Okay.
What did I do?
Yeah.
You start looking for reasons. So this is where he's saying, he done went all the way back. He was saying, if I'd only died when I was born, this would never happen.
Yeah.
And now he's asking the question, why did this happen? And he's going to get an answer, but not the way he wants the answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So, with kings and counselors of the earth, which build resort places for themselves, or with princes that has gold, who kill their horses for silver, houses they fill their houses with silver, or as the and hitting utterly birth, I have not been. In other words, as infants which never saw light. There are people that have all this thing. He was, when he was born, I didn't have all this.
Yeah.
Kings and queens and people, and princes that have these fancy houses and filled with all these fancy stuff. I was born. I was over the timely born. I had not been. As an infant, which never saw light, there the wicked cast from troubling, and there the weary be at rest.
Their wicked cease from raging.
The
wicked cease from raging, and the weary are at rest.
So there are people that are out there doing these things that get away with stuff. And here I am,
That's a song.
suffering and did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen somebody that's driving a car? You said, a fancy car, living in a nice house. You said, why is God blessing them and not me?
Yes.
Why is it that I have to scuffle and I suffer and I got to try and I gotta do all this. I'm trying to live right. I'm trying to do all the things. But why they have and I don't have?
And then what I say they got a bill. All their money going to that car and that house trying to be up on the, you know. No, I don't want that. It's like it's paid for.
Yep. So we have this thing. We looking.
They have 2 or 3 jobs trying to pay for that car and that house, trying to be a million, look like they billionaires or whatever.
But see, that's the thing. We're looking. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at what other people have. Let's look what other people have. And don't look like they're suffering when you're suffering.
They are.
Yeah.
And they're going through, they said, there's a prisoner resting together where the prisoners rest together. They hear not the voice of the oppressor.
This will say taskmaster.
The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master.
Slaves.
There's a place. Wherefore is light given to him that is the Mr. What's that, Miss?
I would say who suffers.
Yeah, he suffers, yeah.
Huh?
Why is it light given to them who suffer? What mine say? And light to the bitter of souls.
Yeah.
The light's given to ones who suffer, and light of the bitter of souls. What mine say?
Okay.
Who longs to death, but there is none, and dig for it more than the hidden treasure. Who would yours
I'm
greater?
looking.
Yeah, it's the English version.
So here, Job is still. I hear myself talking. Here we said, the small and the great are there, and the servant is free from the master. And what is he talking about? Okay, Job 9:22 tells us it is all the same. That is why I said he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. He's trying to tell that when God sends out Job is saying when God sends out his punishment, it destroys the blameless and the wicked. When the Bible tells us also when rain falls, it falls on the good and the evil person.
Yeah.
It just don't rain on one particular person.
Yeah.
So he is at that point now what he's talking about, getting understand what he's talking about. He's talking about what goes on, just not happening to him and just not happening to you look at other people. Sometimes we look at other people and we say, why are they living so good and I'm not? Well, you don't know what they're going through.
Right, that part, yeah.
So we don't know.
You don't know what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And what he just said, what's going to happen to, it's happening not only to him, but it's happening to all others. In 18, he said that where the prisoners rested together. In Genesis, what are you doing? Get back there. Oh, come on. Okay. Genesis 15:13. When the Lord said to him, know for certain that for 4,000 years your descendants will be stretched in the countries not
Strangers.
strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved.
Mhm.
So Job is saying here,
400
there were the prisoners rest together. They hear not the voice of the oppressor.
Mhm.
And God was telling Moses here, was telling us in Genesis that there's going to come a time. Okay. There was going to come a time where they would be in some place where they're not known. They would be enslaved. And I like this verse. I like to put this in a perspective. When they brought your ancestors over here, they was enslaved in a country where they didn't know anyone. If you look at the history of the slave transport, they was put in ships where there was no light, where there was no light and very little ventilation. He said there were the prisoners rest together and hear no voices. The history said that they was in the bowels of the ship and they could not talk to each other. And the people that had actually put them there was nowhere around. Here, Joseph, there was prisoners resting together. They heard not the voice of their oppressors. The small and the great are there, or were here. And the servant is free from his oppressors. So this when we get to 19, in Ecclesiastic 5, chapter 12, verse 5 say, when people are afraid of heights and of danger in the street, when the almond tree blooms, the grass, the grasshoppers drag itself along, and the desire no longer is stress. When the people go to their home, enter their home, goes on the street. Remember him before the silver cord is shaved. So the small and the great and the servants are free in that time period. Therefore, the light gives, he said, and the light gives to him that is a mystery, and the life upon the bitter is bitter in the soul. We're no longer for death, but is come not. And dig for it more than for a treasure. In other words, he's going through so much. Now he's still bending. And that's what he said. He's still bending. He said they're going through all of this. And he's still bending and saying that there's going to come a time which you long for death, but it comes not. And we go to Revelations. Let's see, can I find that one? I think it's in Revelation. I think it's Revelation said that you will be looking for death, and it will not come. No, that's not it. Yeah, Revelation 9:6, I think it was. Oh, okay. During these days, people will seek death, but will not find it. They will long to die, but death will not interfere. The locusts look for horses prepared for battle. Job is saying there will come a time. Now this is Job is reciting something that here that was repeated again in Revelation some thousands of years later. So he's going through things, saying some of the same things that was talked about later. We're gonna try to finish this up. He's still thinking, why is light given to a man whose days is hidden? Job is at this point where he thinks he's about to die. He's venting out and understanding his body is filled with boils and he's in pain. And I'm sure that they're not getting any better because there's no doctor, no ointment, no nothing that's on it. And he's getting better. So he thinks he's going to die. At this point, he wish he was dead, but he's not dead. So that's where that one came from. He said, "For my sight comes before I eat, and my roaring are poured out like water. For the things which I greatly fear is come upon me." The things that happen to him, you know, people that have money, possessions, their greatest fear is somebody taking it from them.
Yeah.
Or losing it. And Job here admits, "For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me." The fear of losing what he had and the fear of death. Those two things is what he's talking about at this point. For I was not in safety neither has I rest, neither have I quit, yet trouble come. Here is what he's saying. He's saying that he did everything right. He never stopped. He praised God all the time. He prayed for his kids all the time. He prayed for himself. He sacrificed. He did everything. He never quit. And he was studying and he prayed. He said, "I did all these things right, but trouble still came." And the point here is that we have to understand that just because you decided to serve God and give up all the stuff that you were doing, people tell you that everything's going to be like peaches and cream, but it's not.
Never.
And I was told this is a lie when I decided to just dedicate myself, that everything's going to be right. But God said, "Now your trouble begins." Because Christ said that if they hated me, they're going to hate you. If they tortured me, they're going to try to torture you. So they never did, the Bible and Christ never did make this sound like it was peaches and cream. It's that we, as our human beings try to convert people by telling them how good their life would be, how better their life would be if they decided to serve God instead of continue doing the things that they're doing. It's not, but the Bible doesn't tell us that. It doesn't back that up. And your life will prove that regardless, like Job said, he said, "I was not in safety, neither had I rest. Neither was I quiet, yet trouble came." He never thought he was in complete safety, even though God kept his hands around him. Neither did he have rest, because he was constantly moving, trying to do something. I said earlier, he was trying to keep what he had. So if you have a lot, it takes a lot to keep a lot. And I was never quiet, so he always was praying, praise God. Yet trouble still came. And we have to understand it. And the point is, and I got a message, I'm going to preach on this in the next couple of weeks, is sometimes God has to move stuff out of the way, make room for you to grow.
Amen.
you can't grow. Your growth can be affected with things around you. If you have a potted plant, you put a plant in a pot, and as the plant grows, you have to sometimes move that, you have to take the plant out and put it in a bigger pot.
Yeah.
Because the plant needs more room. Then you have to take it out of that pot and put another pot, and you eventually have to take it and put it in the ground outside.
Right.
Because it needs more room. Sometimes, so what it is, the plants ask you to move that porcelain or whatever it is around it out of the way.
Yeah.
I cannot grow with this thing around me. I need to move that. You need to move that out of the way so I can grow. Sometimes God has to tell us. God tells us to do things, to move things out of the way. We don't. So what he does is he moves those things out of the way. And I believe that's what he did to me.
It happens with people too.
Huh?
Sometimes you move people out of your way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to move stuff out of the way so I can hold you back. And like I said, I just believe that's what he did to me when I lost everything I had.
Get your attention.
He had to move all that. I was too busy concentrating on that stuff and on that stuff than I was with him. And my growth pattern at that time was limited because I wasn't taking time to study the way I should. I wasn't taking time to sit down and listen at the Spirit trying to talk to me because I had other things on my mind, other things around me. So sometimes I have to move stuff out of the way in order to get you to listen. And this was one of the purposes of Job going through the things he went through. Some of the things that he had to endure to get him to step back. When we go to that time when we said, why? Just wait.
Be patient.
That's it. Just wait. Because he tried Job lost patience. And one of the things that Job, as we had studied Job, you look at Job, the first part of Job, you see that he had patience. He had 10 kids. You had to have patience. He had all this cattle, all these oxen, all this land, and all these servants and all these people that worked for him. He had to have some patience. So we have to understand that sometimes God has to move stuff out of the way to try you to see if you're what you say you are. Because sometimes we say we're one thing and God sees the other side of you. So he puts you, allow you to go to the stuff so you can see the other side too. So he tries your patience to show you to be so okay, so we read Proverbs chapter 20. I don't think we need to go with Job with his friends and how they talk. We will address Job at a later date. Okay. We'll address chapter 4 of Job at a later date, but we're going to go back to Proverbs so we can pick up chapter 20 because I want to do 20, 21, and 22. Those three chapters. Yeah, those three, I want to address something else to those three chapters. So we'll go back to that next start next week. The Lord said the same. So we're going to close out from here. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you, Lord, for this time that we get to spend together. Father, we thank you for your grace, your mercy, and your love. Father, we thank you for the words that we spoke. Father, touch those who are at the sound of my voice. Father, bless those about and about. Father, let your word be a nourishment and a comfort to those who are in need. Bless us as we go to be this place tonight. Bless those that we're watching now and those that may be watching later. Open their eyes to see and ears to hear as the Spirit speaks to them. This we ask and pray in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Good, Pastor.
He said, give the joy. He pick her up.
Oh, okay.
So you